Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Yeah.
Well, good morning. How are you doing? You look like you're in a good mood today, Bob.
I am. I'm. Yeah. Yeah. I am. I'll leave it there.
Okay. Well, welcome everyone. Sorry, a little dark. My lighting's not so great this morning, but I'm Tom Brush, and this is Bob Graham, and this is today's Antidote. We have been doing this, as the intro said, since the start of the pandemic, and our goal is to provide that one thing to help you move forward. Whether it's for today, might be for tomorrow, might not be until next year, but we just want to have conversations about how to help people move forward and take their next steps. So, oh wow, my light got a little bit better. How about that? Look at that. So we've been talking about multiplying the R. And today we're going to talk a little bit about one of those things that sometimes happens. And the R, to go back, it's what's real for you, or what's real for your audience. And that's your knowledge, experience, and perspective. Make that up. And sometimes as we gain more knowledge or different experiences or new perspectives, we have to be careful that it doesn't divide what our R is, that it doesn't take away, not just in a small way, but a big way, what's real for us. So before we get to that, though, I think that Bob stumbled a little bit at the beginning because he didn't really want to say what he wanted to say.
That's about right.
What's that?
That's about right.
So today happens to be Bob's birthday. We don't have to get into what year it is. It doesn't really matter. Okay. And, I got thinking yesterday.
Oh, boy.
We had conversations about his birthday and what was going on. And I'm like, you know what? And I think you'll learn a little bit more about why what I'm about to do is might be valuable or helpful.
Oh, boy.
So I thought, you know what? I'm not even going to introduce it. Let me just share this.
Hey, Bob. I hope that this is going to be a great start to your day. A few of us got together, thought we wanted to send you a little bit of a message for your birthday. So, on your birthday, this is for you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear.
Happy birthday, dear
Bob.
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 Bob. Bob.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday
to you. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Bob.
Have a great birthday, my friend. Take care.
And many more.
And many more.
That's good.
I hope that you have a great day, Bob, and that this is a little bit to make your birthday a little special. We all appreciate everything you do in today's Antidote, as well as within the Ring of Renegades and the Renegade Success Network. So we hope that you have an amazing day and that you're able to celebrate your birthday the way you should. Take care and happy birthday.
So
That's one of the nicest things that's ever been done. I want to thank everyone. I know that takes a lot of work. I've done things like that. I appreciate that. Tom and everyone else who you got involved. That's awesome. Just plain awesome. I cannot stop laughing. I want to watch it again. You'll have to send me a copy of it.
Yeah, maybe we'll play it again at the end. Maybe we'll put it up who knows? We'll figure out. You'll definitely get a copy of it. But
so here's the funny thing, Tom. That's such a great thing, and I'm doing a little struggling today. And I turned 55, and it's not. I was born in 1965, so that goes back a ways. It's funny, as you get to this point, you start to think about legacy. You start to think about I'm probably past the halfway point in my life. And I spend a little bit of time in the last week or so, a lot of time actually, thinking about if I knew what I knew now 20 years ago, I'd be so much better off today. If I had figured these things out, if I had done this, if I had done that. And I find for me, birthdays are that time when I really lament that I didn't get further faster. And I mentioned that to you yesterday. And we decided not to really talk about that in full yesterday, but to have that discussion today, because I hear that from other leaders. It's like, boy, if I'd left my full-time job just 5 years ago, I'd be a millionaire right now. Someone said that to me last week. Someone else said to me, if I'd known that this is how people would buy from me, I would have sold this 22 years ago. And I think this is a fairly common thing that a lot of us go through. So it's probably not a bad idea to take a little bit of time to talk about it, because as we talk about multiplying the R, my thought is these thoughts and this kind of track doesn't help us move forward.
I think hopefully it gives us some perspective. I think one of the things that I've started to realize later in my life is that many of the things that are happening for me now, I would not have been able to even handle or manage 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago when I first started. They're just things that you haven't experienced, and not having experienced them makes it really hard to figure it out. So just to drop that knowledge on your 20-year-old self or your 30-year-old self, I'm not sure they would know what to do with it. I'm not sure they would be ready for it. As we've talked about, The Go-Giver is one of my favorite books. I'm not sure reading that at 25 would have had the same impact it did reading it at 35 or 40 whenever I read it. And I think that as we look back, honestly, that's what makes us real, is all of what we have gained and the knowledge we've had and how it has all come together. So I think to wish that you knew now what you knew then, yeah, it'd be great. I'm not sure we could have applied it. I'm not sure we would have been ready for it at the time, because we didn't have some of the experience, the knowledge, or perspective that we currently have. I was reading someone else's post. They were talking about, it was what are the biggest challenges for small business owners now? And someone posted that it's, end of year performance review time and the hard conversations that need to be had. And I think had I read that 15, 20 years ago, I would have been, yeah, those things are really hard and difficult and haven't figured it out. What I know now is that those conversations are a lot easier if you're not just having them once a year. If you're having them on a regular basis, so it's a conversation, and my goal was always that no one would be surprised at their end of year review, because we've been talking about it the whole year. And if it came up, we would do it on a regular basis. And if a topic came up multiple times where there were struggles, I would hope the person would realize that that's going to be a part of the conversation at the end of the year. And hopefully they have made progress from that. So I think the information that we know now is valuable. And yes, it might be nice to impact or send back to our previous earlier lives. I'm not sure we would have been ready for it and would have received it in the right way.
As you were saying that, Tom, it occurred to me that maybe it was coming at us all along, and I just didn't pick it up until it was the right time. Because I don't think that the world of a 55-year-old is dramatically different than the world of a 20-year-old. It's just you're focused on different things and you're looking at different things and you see the world differently. I can remember being in my early 20s and I had a boss who was 35 and thinking he was pretty much half dead.
Right.
And now 35 seems like youth to me. So it's a perspective shift, I think. And as we get older, I think in some ways we get wiser, but wiser is really just, I think we step back and start to evaluate more before we act. I look back on myself, the biggest change in the last 10 years is I used to just do stuff and figure it out. Now I think more and I'm more methodical in what I'm trying to achieve. It's slower, but I think it's more satisfying and it makes more sense. I want to put Carrie's comment up. Hey, Carrie, good morning. I learned a great deal starting around 25 years old and took over 10 years to start applying the action. Any change to improve our nature. And maybe that's it. Maybe we just get to that point where we start to apply the things we're learning. And I feel like I do that a lot now in a way I didn't earlier.
Because you've experienced it, you've gained it. It wasn't just handed to you to take over and figure out. I think that's the other piece of it is, and it's funny, you think about time travel and all the movies and
I
TV
don't,
shows.
but you might.
Oh, okay, fine, whatever. So maybe I'm the only one who does. But when you watch some of those movies, they always talk about make sure you don't change something that happened, because when you come back, your whole world could be different. And in reality, if we had known what we knew back then, would our lives have been the same? Probably not, because what would have been real for us would have been different. And so I think it's easy sometimes to think, oh, wow, I wish I was different. I wish I had done this job and I'd, had made more money or had a bigger house or, owned a company or something that we are comparing our current selves to. And yet, yes, that might have come, but what else would have changed? What are the other things that might have been impacted by those decisions had we known about them then? And so I think that, if we stop comparing either ourselves with others or ourselves with who we thought we were going to be, and just say, I am who I am. I've had these experiences. I've gained this knowledge. This is the perspective that I've learned, and it can change. And that's what's real for me. And I think when we start to compare ourselves, now it's not just us. It's almost like there's a bottom line on the left-hand side of that equation that is dividing where we are. Because now it's not just about our experiences, we're comparing ours to somebody else's to try to understand if what we are is real. And I don't know, I just think that comparison, words like should have, could have, are, I don't know, I'm not sure that they're as helpful because they're looking back or they're a comparison. And if we only start thinking about how can we move forward, now we're adding to or hopefully multiplying our rather than dividing it.
Hey, Tom, will you permit me to put another comment up?
Yeah, sure, why not?
This would be from my sister, which is incredibly nice and generous. I want to read it out loud. So this is my sister, Beth. Happy birthday, Bob. I'm very proud and glad that you've accomplished what you have. You and Tom make it real, and that reality is helpful and makes everyone take a step back to realize that you were always right on point. It's incredibly touching. I can't even imagine.
How are you feeling about birthday now?
Like I often feel about things we do on this program, a little like I was too public. But I feel better. I feel like, the fact that those people took time to say happy birthday, I had a busy schedule, and I'm assuming you or Liz or someone put that piece together, that says to me that I've got value to people, because you don't do that for people that you don't care about. You just would be like, yeah, whatever, happy birthday, and move on. So I'm honored and I'm touched, and it makes me not think about what I was thinking about earlier, that I should have accomplished all this 25 years ago.
Yeah, I think one of the things you talked about, and I know you always are hesitant about, even though you are willing to share, sometimes I think you are looking back being like, wow, I was maybe too open. I think all you're doing is sharing what's real. And isn't that what we're trying to do? That the more we share what's real for us, the more we put it out there, so that someone, somewhere, at some time might say, wow, I really needed that. I really needed to hear that I'm not the only one who thinks about these things. I'm not the only one who's worried about this challenge or this struggle or something like my birthday. Like, oh, man, I'm not where I should be. maybe it's an opportunity for us to look at ourselves and not be as critical, not be as judgmental, and
That
think
would be the
about,
best gift ever.
well, and I think, Tim talks about this, his point, which is a great one, is I only compare myself to who I was yesterday. All right, great.
That's wise. I like
Yeah,
that.
it's just thinking about how to, because really, what else are we going to do? As far as I know, there isn't time travel. We can't go back and send a message to our, earlier, younger selves. And in reality, if we stop and think about it, and even for people who've gone through significant challenges, there are times when I'm sure they say, I have a lot of blessings. That yes, it might not have been what I thought, and I am in a good spot. And I have the opportunity, maybe even more important, to understand where I am and try to figure out how do I continue taking steps. Whether they're forward, sideways, backwards, that part of it almost doesn't matter. It's just how do I keep taking those steps so that I gain more knowledge, experience, and perspective. And now it has an impact on what's real for me.
I think that makes perfect sense. I want to put up Carrie's comment. I declare I am successful. I love that. I should probably get up every morning and say that, and that would probably improve my life dramatically. Maybe that'll be what I'll give myself for a gift for the next year. Every morning I'm going to get up and I'm going to declare that I'm successful.
I think that's great. I think making that statement is one thing. The next is,
Believing it?
can you continue to say that throughout the day? So maybe not just getting up in the morning and saying it, but at noon, say it. At 4 o'clock, say it. When you go to bed, don't compare, my day wasn't, and I'm going to bring this up, so sorry. Monday, you were like, I don't know what I've accomplished. I don't have anything on my schedule. Okay. I am successful at the end of the day. Great. Now, what am I going to do tomorrow to still believe and act that I am successful?
Okay. We'll have to see my progress on this. I'm not sure. I'm a work in progress like everyone else here.
We all are. Because every minute of every day, actually every second of every day, we are gaining something. Knowledge, perspective, it's something is happening that influences what's real for us. And so I think that's why life is hard. And that's not a bad thing, because it allows us to gain from it, figure out how to move forward, how to try to make it, as Tim said, how can I make sure that tomorrow I'm as positive as I was today?
So, Tom, as we get to the end of today's episode, I've told you what I'm going to do to be different. I guess today's antidote was for me in my world that I'm just going to declare that I'm successful each day. How about you? What's the one thing that you take away from our episode this morning?
To me, it's a reminder that we can't change what's happened. That is what is real for us. We can't go back and send ourselves a message. We can't turn back time. We can only deal with what is real. And now we have the opportunity to impact that, to influence it by what we go out and try to gather from what others are sharing. And at the same time, when we share what's real for us, we get to see how others are impacted by it. And I think it's that idea of receiving and giving is how we move forward. That looking back, while it adds some perspective, as long as that is just a perspective that allows you to learn and gain and not compare, which is only going to divide where we're at.
I like that. We got really heady with today's episode. I apologize for that, everyone, but maybe it's good. I also encourage you, if you're watching this on replay, make sure you take a look at some of the comments. And the best comments always seem to be from our Ring of Renegades folks. So if you haven't joined the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, you ought to get in there, because the comments I find are probably as valuable, if not more valuable sometimes, than the discussion Tom and I have. Wouldn't you say, Tom?
Oh, absolutely. Here's one I want to share before we get. John has, I think, a good quote that probably, at least if you're in the Northeast and maybe along the East Coast, you're feeling that. He says, "Today I'm struggling with being comfortable. A snow day doing nothing is so uncomfortable for me." So what I might offer, John, is don't think of it of doing nothing. What is your definition of nothing? You know, sitting around the house, going outside and playing with your kids, finding a way to enjoy the snow, doing something as a family, doing something just for yourself. Is that really nothing? Think about that for today.
Wow. Wow. Look at Tom giving John some advice. I like it. I like it.
Well,
That's
he mentioned
good.
the other day that I never talked to him, so I thought it was an opportunity for me to have a conversation with John.
I also think we should put Carrie's 2 comments up. I'm letting go of fear and I received courage today to go from dependence to independence. I love that idea, that independence in so many ways. And she also says, I face my tasks with courage and strength. And John replies to your comments with not making money. However, I'm baking Bob a pie, which means John's making me an apple pie. I'm so excited. They are so good. They are one of a kind, Tom. I
Who would have
can't even
thought that
tell
John
you.
was a baker? And I just want to share with Carrie, independence is great. Dependence is not bad. Bob and I depend on one another to make this show as effective as it can be. However you may think about what that is. Leaning
Don't
on,
give people that option.
well, that, it's what's real, right? Dependence does not mean that you can't do it alone. It almost is like there are others there to support you. Think of it that way, is that they're there to be whatever you might need them to be. If you're in the right group, and finding the right group of people is key, is that you're not dependent on them. You actually realize how much they lift you up, how much they are there when you're struggling. Is that dependence? Or is that really people who are there to be supportive? And they're there when you're doing well. Is that dependence because you feel like, okay, I've got this group I can share it with? Or is it lifting you up because they are as happy about your successes as you are? So,
and not jealous and not envious, but they know the hard work that you put into it. So you're truly excited for them.
correct. So I would say, in my opinion, dependence is not necessarily a bad thing. We all need people to lean on, whether it's our
That would be
spouse.
a really good song.
Lean on me.
We all need people to lean on. Lean on.
So
I can't remember the name of the group. I want to put, Carrie's got a couple more comments. We'll put them up there. Hey, yes, John, I relate. I made the decision yesterday to reach out to others and see how they're doing. How can I be of service and bring in income? And I would tell you, Tom, that you and I have gotten pretty good at being of service and bringing in income, huh?
yeah, well, I think when you're of service, the income usually follows. That's my feeling.
And then Carrie says, the reason I say that, Tom, is because I've been dependent my whole life and pulling away from that part. Believe me, I have dependence. So I think there are 2 levels of dependence. There can be dependence on someone else or a system to make sure that we have the things we need. And as we get more successful in our business and we get more established, we can take over the independence of our business. But like you said, most of us succeed because we have dependence on the people that support us. And that's not a bad thing.
And
then
maybe that was what was real at the time. You know, as we think about it, we think of it as one way to look at it is that's not a good thing, right? It's that I'm dependent on someone. I can't be on my own. Some might look at it as, you know what, those were the times when I needed that. And it was just what was real at the time is I needed that support. And because of that, that has influenced what is real for me today and allowing me to be independent and at the same time know that I have a community out there that is supportive of me.
Yeah, Carrie says mine wasn't a good dependence. I think it's great that she knows the difference. And Tom, you get the quote of the day from Tim. Dependence is not necessarily a bad thing. We all need people to lean on. I'm telling you, that's a song. I can't remember who sings it, but I feel like it's the Rolling Stones.
You'll have to figure that out and post it in the
Yeah,
in
it's
the
the Rolling Stones because I can hear Mick Jagger. We all need people we can lean on. And if you want to, you can lean on me. Help me, Tim. You know the
I got
Rolling
nothing for
Stones.
you. It's probably a
Okay.
really good time for us to say, I hope that everybody enjoyed our discussion today. If you are not a member of the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, which is where our community gathers to provide support and celebrations and really knowledge and experience and perspective sharing, go to Facebook, search for Ring of Renegades, and it's a private group, so you just have to ask. We'll ask you why you are a renegade, and then you can come and be a part of our conversation. So again, that's Ring of Renegades in Facebook. And if not, we will see you here tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern Time, for our next edition of Today's Antidote. Everyone, I hope that you have a great day. Bob, I hope that you have a great birthday. And
Thank you.
you know what? Just something to make everybody happy one more time. Happy
Okay.
birthday, Bob.
Thank you.
Hey, Bob, I hope that this is going to be a great start to your day. A few of us got together, thought we wanted to send you a little bit of a message for your birthday. So, on your birthday, this is for you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear
Happy birthday, dear
Bob.
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 Happy birthday
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
to you. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Bob.
Have a great birthday, my friend. Take care.
And many more.
And many more.